In this section, we are going to learn how to do some automation of the web, or this web page at least, without the use of a framework. We're just going to use JavaScript. We're going to be using the developer tools inside of Chrome to write some basic JavaScript scripts to interact with elements on this page and do things like looping. We can do some logic to make sure that the values are what we're expecting them to be. We're going to create some reusability by creating variables based on the elements that we have, and reusability based on the actions that we want to do. Alright, so in a previous lesson we learned how to find elements using JavaScript and the console. So you can actually do more than just that. You can actually interact with the elements using JavaScript on the console. So let me show you how to do that. So let's go ahead and let's just do this A/B testing. Let's right click, copy JS path, and go ahead and paste that into the console. Alright, so we know that this query selector is giving us this element there. So what if I wanted to do something with that? So I just hit the up key there, and then if you do a dot at the end of the parentheses here, you can see there's actually more methods that you can do on elements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do click, and then put the parentheses at the end because it's a method, and go ahead and hit enter. And notice that the page on the right redirected to that A/B test, because that's what happens when you click on that element. Okay, so let's try something else here. Let's open this one that says checkboxes. All right. So while inside of here, let's just get this inspect of the first checkbox, and you can see that's there. And then let's copy the JS path, go to console, paste, and dot click just one more time, just like we did before, and you can see that works. And then if I do it again, I can unclick it, and all good. And let's just go back to the home screen. So now we know how to click something, but what if we wanted to get the text of something? So what we can do is, let's go ahead and do this A/B testing again. Inspect. Let's copy the JS path, and paste that in there, and then we can do dot at the end, and we can do inner HTML, and hit enter, and you can see that that gave us the text inside of there. So inner HTML is going to work if you see that inside of an element there's text inside of it. So I got that. We can actually get the next one. So let's do 2. So add remove elements, basic auth, broken images, challenging DOM, checkboxes, context menu, and so forth and so on. So this works perfectly fine. And let's just do one more. So let's find the one that says inputs here. So inputs is going to work a little bit differently than how the inner HTML worked, but I'll show you that in a second. So let's go ahead and inspect and grab the JS path here. And then at the end of this, we're going to do dot value. So inputs have values. So if I just hit enter right now, it's going to give me an empty string. So one thing to notice is that even though if I put a number in here, it's always going to come back as a string. So let's put a number in there, and then let's get the value back. So inputs always give you back a string. All right. So I'm going to change this value. So input value equals 2, and then now you can see that it updated. I can do like 500, and that all works. So this is how you set the input, is by using the value, and this is how you also get the input, by using the value. So if you just do value.value, then that'll give you what's inside of there. If you do value equals, and then it will set the value to a new value. So I'm going to take a quick minute to show you how to make it easier to use these long query selectors so that we have some reusability and kind of more readability. So let's go ahead and just open up a Visual Studio Code window. I just created a new folder. I just called it code, and inside of there I'm just going to make a file called test.js. It doesn't matter what you call it. We're just using it to write code in, and then we'll paste it into the console. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, once I get this docked over here, once I get that, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to create a variable. So we can do var, and let's see, we'll just call this input field, and then we can actually set that equal to this document.querySelector. Okay, and paste that in. Let me collapse this so you can see, and good to go. So now we have a variable. So if I'm just going to save that and copy that and clear this out, and now if I enter that in, I have a variable. So now if I type in input field dot and then value and enter, and then now you can see it gives me 500, which is the value that's in there. Okay, and we can do all the normal things. So we can do value equals 1, and it still works, but this is much more readable and easy to use than this longer one. And also an added benefit is that if something on this page changes, so for example, if this input type or if this ID changes to like contents instead of content, then we only have to update it one place. So we would only have to update it in the variable declaration, and we don't have to update every single step that we are using for that variable. So this is an easy one because this is just a unique input field, but what if we have something where like here we had all of these items that we use the query selector all for. So let's just grab that real quick. So let's copy and then JS path, and then go back over here and paste, and then remember we're going to remove this nth child, and we're going to add all with the capital A there, and then hit enter. So this gives us everything, but we don't want everything, most likely. Maybe we do. So what we can do is we can do this in 2 steps. So var, let's just call this links equals that, which is fine, and go ahead and copy this, and let's see what this gives us. And if we just say links, and then it gives us the same thing. Alright, but now what if I only wanted, actually no, this works fine. So we can just do links 0 dot get our inner HTML, right? And that works perfectly fine. So that's a solution for if you're using the query selector all, and then you can just say I want the first item and to be A/B testing, and then maybe I want the last item. So I know the last item is 43. So let's see, this actually gives me a hint here. So 42. Alright, so there we go, WYSIWYG editor, which is the last item there. We can use logic in our test to check to make sure that things are the way that we want them to be before we start doing something with the element, or we can just use it as basically a reference to know if this is true, then our test passed. Alright, so let's just go on to that inputs again. And then let me erase that. So let's write out a simple test right now. So we already have this input field here. So let's do an if statement. So if input field dot value triple equals, and then remember that it's going to be a string, 1, and then we'll console.log the value is 1. Okay, and else we can console.log, and then we can use this backtick notation. So the value is, and then we can do bracket input field dot value. Okay, and go ahead and save this, and I'm going to just cut this and put it to the top because I don't need it right now. And let's clean up a little bit here. Alright, so just go ahead and grab this whole thing and make sure that you're on the inputs page before you paste this in. So paste it in and hit enter, and it says input field. So we've defined our input field value, and then if the value equals 1, the value is not equal 1, so it went to the else condition, which says the value is, and then there's nothing there. So that is correct. We can make that a little bit more pretty because we can use an else if input field dot value equals nothing, and then we can console.log the input is blank. Okay, save, and we can just run this bottom part here because we've already declared our variable up there, and there we go. So the input is blank. So we've done a few things here. We've shown that you can use logic to check to see if things are true or false, and then also we've used validation to make sure that, oh, if something is this way, then that's correct. So basically this is a test case, right? So if you were going onto this page and you say that I want the default value, so you can say test default value of input. So your test might be that the default value is supposed to be 1, but if it's not 1, then you can check to see if, like, oh, is it just blank, or what is the number that's in there. So you've basically just written your first simple JavaScript test case. So you can also do looping through of elements using JavaScript, and let's go ahead and do that. So remember that links variable that we created before, where it's like it gives you an array of links? Let's go ahead and use that. So let me actually put a comment up here. I'll just say input stuff, and then link stuff. Horrible comments, but something's better than nothing right now. Okay, so remember to be on the home page of the Heroku app, and let's go ahead and paste this in here and hit links, and just remember it gives you links, and it's an array, so it starts with 0. So let's go ahead and loop through this. Let's just do a for, and then let I equals 0, and then we can do links.length, since it's an array, is less than, oh, actually, no. We want to do I is less than links.length, less than or equal to, because it's we're starting at 0, and then we're going to end at the last value in the array. Actually, no, that's not true. So just remember that length is going to give you how many elements are in there. So let's do links.length. That's going to give you 43 elements, but remember that links, the last element in the array, is 42. So we just want to do less than links.length, because if we do less than or equal to, then we'll be beyond our the length of our array and weird things happen. All right, so let's go ahead and finish our for loop, and we'll just do something simple. So we'll just do console.log of this is the, and then link. So we're going to put the name of the link, so we'll do links I. So it'll give us that link text there. And we actually need to get the link text, so inner HTML. So it'll give us links. We're going to get all the links, and then it's going to give us links 0, so whatever the link text is for the 0 element, and then 1, and so on and so on and so on. So let's go ahead and copy this, and we can just paste this in here because we've already declared our variable up there. And then you can see we have all the links, so there should be 43 of them. So WYSIWYG editor and A/B testing, so that looks good. Okay, so let's do something else. Let's actually, maybe we can verify stuff, right? So let's see. We have our array of links, so let's actually do something here. Okay, let's copy this. Okay, and then let's do this one more time. Okay, and remember we're getting all those values. So instead of console logging, let's push this into a new array. So let's create an array. So our link texts, probably not proper English, but let's just do that because there's multiple links, link text. So we can do link texts dot push, and let's actually make this an array so the editor knows what we're doing. So dot push. So remember, push appends elements to an array. So we're going to do push, and then we're going to actually links I dot inner HTML. Okay, let's go and save, copy, and I'm just going to clear this up. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy all this once again, paste, and boom, something happens. So let's do link texts. So now we have the text for each one of those things stored into a new array. Alright, so that's how you use looping to interact with elements and do a couple different things with the elements using JavaScript. Okay, let's wrap up this section with one more thing. We are going to create reusable functions for testing, for reusability. So we already created some reusability by using looping. We used variables for our selectors, but we can create functions too. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me put this back over here. So we're going to go back to that inputs page, and we're going to create a function so that we can pass in values into this. So let's open that back up there. Alright, I'm gonna kind of just comment that out because I don't need that right now. Okay, so function, let's do something. Let's get input text, and then what we can do is just input, we can return, or let's just do console.log input field dot inner HTML. Oops. Okay, simple as that. So save. So what we're going to need is this line right here, and make sure you're on the right page. So variable, and then we're going to need this function here. Okay, and then we just need to call our function. So get input text, and there's nothing in there because it is blank. So let's make another function. So let's do function set input text, and then this is going to take some value. Let's just call it val, and then we'll do input field dot value equals val, and then what we can do is we can just do the console.log of input field dot inner HTML just so that we can get the value once we set it. So save that, copy, and then paste that in there, and then we can do set input text, and then we can set the value. So let's do 1, and then something went wrong. Let's see. So it's set the value. Let's check our code here. Input field dot, oh, so we don't want inner HTML because this is a text field, so we just want value actually. And value right there. Okay, save. So we can actually run our first get input text, and let's see. Actually, no, we can't. That's clear. All right, we need to re-enter. Let's re-enter everything again. So variable, and then our two functions. Okay. All right, let's see what's in input text right now. So get input text. Let's put the parentheses on there. There we go. So now it's working. So get input text is giving us 1. Set input text. Let's change it to 2, and now it returns 2. And if we do get input text again, it's giving us 2. So there we go. We've created a reusable function to do that. Now let's kind of add something to it. So let's add a loop to this. So for let I equals 1, I is less than 10, sure, and then I plus plus, and then what we can do is set input text to I, right, and then we can do get input text. All right, so we're calling this function to set it, and I'm actually going to comment this out there, and then we're calling this function to get it, right? Okay, so let's clear out everything here. I'm actually going to refresh this page so that we're back to nothing, and let's grab this part here, paste, and we need all of this, 2 functions and the for loop. All right, and then once I hit enter, it's going to read out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's do that one more time. So delete that. Oops. Delete that and hit enter. And it happens so fast that we don't really even see anything. Fun. All right. But you can see that the last value was 9. So let's change this up to be I equals 7. I is less than 7. Okay, so now you can see it only went up to 6 that time. All right, so if you wanted to, you can also put this loop into a function. You can do something like function, let's see, loop input text, and then we'll do a start and end. Okay, and then just grab that right here, X, and paste, and what we would do is this would be start, and then this would be end. Okay, and let's change this to less than or equal to since I put end there. Let's save that, and I'm going to refresh, and I'm just going to copy all of this stuff up here. It doesn't really matter if you get the comments too. Okay, and then let's call loop input text, and then start, let's do 1, and then end, let's do 5, and let's see what happens over here. Okay, so you can see that it ended on 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and everything works.